Howdy CSers, this is Professor Kaufman, and what follows is a short demonstration of how to SSH from your local machine into some of the university's remote machines, particularly those who are under the auspices of the College of Science and Engineering to support work in computer science or other courses. There are some notes on this that you can find on the CSE-IT website. You notice up here under Google, I just searched for CSE-IT UMN, and the top link is the information technology for the College of Science and Engineering. These are the folks that maintain our systems, keep all your files in order, and can render assistance as needed. The notes can be found under the classrooms and labs, and then if you scroll down a little bit, there are several remote access methods which we'll be surveying. The one we're most interested in is SSH, which is an acronym for Secure Shell. We'll get into that just a little bit, but if I'm going too fast or you want a written documentation of some of what we'll talk about, then you'll find that on this page in the little accordion menu zone here. So in order to make use of this, you will need some sort of a shell, or terminal as it's called. That language is a little bit loose, but in most operating systems, including Windows and Mac, if you search for, within Windows, for instance, cmd.exe, short for command executable, that will service as a shell, and SSH these days is installed by default on it. So too on Mac, if you search for terminal, that will be the case. I happen to be on a Linux system, but I'll punch my little menu button and type in a terminal, and there are a bunch of choices here. I'll just go with the default terminal on my system, which I think is a GNOME terminal. In order to make this somewhat readable on the video, I'm going to increase the size of this just a little bit, and then I'll pump this up a little bit in terms of font size. The mantra that you'll recite over and over is SSH, your username on the remote system. This will be your X500 as you're accessing some of the CSE Lab systems. My X500 used to be, when I was a student, KUF0095. These days I've been upgraded to professor status, so I'm Kaufman instead. Change that as your situation dictates. All of you have a unique one. Then the @ sign, and then the name of a machine that you'll want to access. Now, there are a whole variety of different machines that are available, and we'll look at a full listing of those in just a moment. They're on the CSE Labs machines. But just to get started, I'm going to pick Atlas. Atlas.cselabs.umn.edu. Now, there's no reason that you would know this address out of course, that instead you'll need to find those listed someplace. But this is a well-known machine. It's a server in the machine room in Keller Hall and has a number of processors associated with it, so it's not a bad remote login machine. No one's going to be sitting at it. Everyone's going to be logged in remotely. So I'll punch enter at this stage. Depending on whether or not this is your first time logging in, you may get a "Are you sure you want to log in this computer?" message. In those cases, you just say yes, particularly if it's a UMN machine. I've already logged in this machine previously, so I'm just getting prompted at this stage for my password. And this will be your X500 password. In my case, I have to remember it quick. Okay, super secret, super safe. And as you type characters along on the password, don't be surprised if they don't show up. It's bad practice even to show little dots or anything, which would reveal the length of your password. That password's been accepted, and we're on to the next part of the two-step authentication. This is the Duo portion of it. I prefer Duo push notifications to my mobile phone, although you can select option 2 here. Again, as I punch 1 here and press enter, there'll be sort of a silent response, but my phone just buzzed, indicating that they want authentication. I'll approve that, and voila, we're now in. Now, rather than commands at this stage executing on my local computer, my laptop in this case, they're now going to be executing on this remote machine called Atlas. So for instance, the unit command ls to list the files that are present will give me a directory listing of what's in my home directory there. Anytime you would log into a remote machine, in most cases, you will get started out in your shell in your home directory. And so navigation becomes a matter of knowing some Unix commands, in this case, to, for instance, list things or change into a particular course directory. For instance, if I wanted to change into this CSI 2021 directory, I do a CD to change directory, CSI 2021, and then punch enter. The little prompt over here is changed to reflect the working directory is now the CSI 2021. So if I do another listing, I'll see some other stuff in here that has to do with what's going on in that course for me. Now, if you want a complete listing of the machines that you can remotely log into, you'll find that over here on the CSE Lab systems. Under Classrooms and Labs, if you scroll around just a little bit here, then you'll see down here listing through accordions of all of the various labs that are under the auspices of the CSE Lab staff. For instance, Keller Hall 1-250 is a common room in which computer science courses hold in-person labs. And if you click for more information on that, among the other facets that are available there, for instance, when it's open, you can find a list of the computers that are in that lab. Each of these are listed here as a machine name along with the part of the address over here that you'd want to type in if you wanted SSH there. And note here, not all of the machines are listed, that instead it starts at 01 and goes up to 37. So I'm going to copy one of these and over here open up a new terminal. And then paste this over here and punch in an SSH along with my username ahead of it. However, I'm going to bypass number 1 and go maybe to number 5 instead, and SSH in there. Oh, let's try lucky number 7 instead. Now, I've never logged into this machine before, so you see I'm getting this prompt over here to say, are you sure that you want to log into this machine? Here's a cryptographic key that sort of identifies it uniquely. I have complete confidence in the CSE Lab staff that this machine is cool to log into, so I'm going to punch yes over here and get prompted once again for my password. See, it's rather long, so I hope I hit it this time. Cool, okay, got it first try there. And then again, I'll get a duo push over here. So there's a 1 to get my mobile phone to buzz. Did so when I just punched the button to approve it, and we're in. Now, rather than on Atlas, and I guess I can bring that one up over here. Here's Atlas, I'm logged in there. I'm also logged in now to this Keller Hall 1-250 machine number 7. I think there's a lab going on over there, so I can actually check who's logged into this machine. It's me, Kaufman, and another user who's probably sitting at the terminal 0. That's the graphical login over here, and that person is probably clicking around on the mouse and so forth. So it'd be a little bit rude if I started up running a whole bunch of computations that really hog the CPU, because that person's graphical experience would slow down markedly. But that little W command is useful to know if anyone else happens to be logged in. Atlas over here is a login machine that lots of folks log into. So if I punch W here, you can see, oh, Professor Kolb's logged in and a couple other TAs and so forth. So to that end, there at various times that assignments run, there may be a whole bunch of folks logged in that respect. Now, this tutorial doesn't cover some things like transferring files and back and forth between machines. That'll be covered separately. But this will at least get you started as you would want to non-graphically log in to systems. If you want to edit code there, you'd have to know how to use a non-graphical text editor. For instance, Nano is a common easy one to make use of. And as I'd fire Nano up, I could, for instance, look in here. There's a hello.c program, say nano hello.c, and get by, start doing some graphical editing over here. Notice the little caret X here. That means Control X to exit. So that's all I'll do there. This is a podunk editor, but it's good in a pinch. And you would probably do well to learn something like Vim or Emacs if you plan to do most of your editing in a non-graphical setting. Separately, we'll cover graphical login through FastX and remote editing via VS Code and a different video. But for now, this is enough to get you started. We'll have a more advanced tutorial on SSHing with tricks like transferring files back and forth and how to set things up so you don't have to punch in your password quite so often. Look for that in the future, and take care until then.